on May 16th, 2023 on Zoom, the meeting of the Southborough Youth Commission at looks like 7:04 p.m. The first on, go ahead. There we go. The first on the agenda is review of the April 11th meeting minutes. That was from our first in-person meeting in several years. Did anyone have any comments, edits to that?
No, it's nice to see everybody though.
It was. So hearing nothing, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I second that.
We'll do a roll call vote. Karen Ingram.
Aye.
David Joyner, I don't think you were there, but
Yeah, I was not there, so I abstain on this one.
Sarah Micas,
Aye.
Susan Byer,
Aye.
and Lauren Ritchie, aye. Next on the agenda is the director's report with highlights from April. Even though May is the big month here.
Yeah, a lot of April was spent preparing for May. Let's see, I just want to note that I'm seeing here that so we just purchased Adobe for the department. We learned recently that most of the other departments already have this, but that there's, when you buy a license for Adobe, you can only use it for one user. So it's not something that we could, tap into from another department. Anyway, long story short, the director's report looks quite different because it's not assembled in the same order it usually is. So my apologies for that. But so yes, as I said, the month of April was spent with lots of preparation for what's happening this month, Mental Health Awareness Month. We tied up most loose ends with our camp scholarship program. Inevitably, we will have a couple of families at the last minute join the program and ask for something extra. So we're always bracing ourselves for that, which is fine. Oh, excuse me. We did a lot in prevention work still in the months of, there's been a ton of behind the scenes work with our Encompass Coalition. We did submit a drug-free communities grant in April, which was very exciting. So we'll wait and see what the outcomes are of that. We won't learn the outcomes of that until August. Let's see, we had a couple of outreach opportunities. We went to opening day of baseball, softball for the towns of Northborough, Southborough. Sorry, someone really wants to talk to me. I'm not available. So that was fun. It was kind of a overcast day, so we really didn't have, maybe the turnout that we normally would. And then we also did the kinder group Easter egg hunt, which was good. Yeah, so I'd say by and large, like I said, preparing for the month of May, which I think is another agenda item further down. I'll go into that in more detail there. We are closing out. We're getting close to finishing up FY23. So again, we are, as much as possible, trying to anticipate what we have left for expenses. Things change occasionally. For example, Adobe was something that we became aware of that we needed. It was much more expensive than we expected. And then one of the things that we had hoped to do for Celebrate Wellness didn't pan out. So things will kind of slightly adjust here and there all the way up until the end of the fiscal year. And then not a lot of new things for the strategic plan progress report. We are shifting away from goals 1 and 2 to goals 3 and 4, which I'm excited for. It feels like we've been working on software needs and IT systems for the longest time. I'm feeling really hopeful that come FY24 with the funding for Simple Practice and my senior center that we will be able to put those needs to bed and feel fully equipped with what we need to do our jobs efficiently. So that's kind of a summary. I don't know if there's any specific questions on the director's report that I can answer.
I just had one, which is regarding the outreach and the numbers of people that are reached on outreach.
Yes.
Does that go by the number in attendance at the event, or the people that chatted with you, or what is?
Well, we Shannon, Christina, and I had this very conversation saying, what the heck should we put in there? Because in terms of opening day, you know, Lauren, I know you were there. It's very hard to measure how many people were in attendance to the event, regardless of who we talked to. And I brought my children with me. Could you consider the outreach that my son did, where he went and handed out tons of Mental Health Awareness Months pins and bracelets like this and
Sunglasses.
ribbons. He just went nuts, and it was very hard for us to tell. So the number you see there is an estimate of how many people came to the event. Even if we didn't have direct contact with them, our name being there, you know, we can't discount the fact that somebody might have seen our canopy and said, oh, I need to remember to call them, or, you know what I mean? So just for your own knowledge, you can know that those numbers are for an estimated number of people in attendance at those events versus the people we actually chatted with.
Okay.
We really have no way of measuring how how far our outreach extended.
And who we're reaching. Okay.
Right.
Does anyone else have any questions about the director's report? All right, we'll move on to Mental Health Awareness Month of May, and Sarah was alluding to that earlier. So
yeah, so we have so much going on. I'm wearing a name tag, not because I think all of you forgot who I am, but I just came from literally flying in from a workshop I just did with 8 to 12-year-olds over at the library. It was the Superheroes program that I had mentioned to you guys earlier. It was so awesome. It was really great. I'll explain that in a little more detail, but I need to get to the list of stuff we have going on. So Mental Health Awareness Month. So we attended, or I attended a select board meeting at the very end of April to preview Mental Health Awareness Month with the select board. And just like with all of you, I brought them all luminary bags to put out in front of their house, and talked about, you know, our programs and services in general and how we're doing. We talked about two things much more in depth, in particular May 5th, which was Southborough Goes Green. So everybody, all of the schools participated in this. They all had students and staff encouraged to wear the color green. The same was true for town employees. And we were happy to see that some folks did participate. And then we also had that same evening, the beginning of Leave the Light On, which is a luminary event. I know Friends had purchased some additional luminary bags to give out, and then the Board of Health worked together with the school department. They learned about this and approached us asking if they could purchase luminary bags for every child in the school district. So all kids were sent home with a luminary bag and a candle and a little blurb about what it was for, which was really cool to see how far that extended. Hopefully those of you who have kids, in fact, had your children come home with a luminary bag.
Wait, can I just
I did.
ask, like, how come the high school didn't participate?
Well, if they did, this was a decision based off of the funding that was available.
Okay.
So this was a grant that was awarded to the Southborough Health Department. And I don't think for equity's sake, they could give it to just Southborough residents and not Northborough residents also. So I know that it was for the Southborough Health Department, so I'm pretty sure that they had to choose to give it to Southborough students. So that's always an ongoing challenge we have at the high school with it being regional.
Right. Gotcha.
And I also think that they only had X number of dollars, so they had to make a decision that they couldn't extend it into the high school for that reason. So what else has happened up to this point for Mental Health Awareness Month? We've had a community read, which happened on, I know this date is not correct. Lauren, you attended that. This was just last week, right? Or this week? No, last week.
Yes.
I have the
can't
wrong
tell you
date.
what day it was, but I did attend it.
Yeah. So that happened. Today, as I said, we had drawing on your superpowers at the library, which we co-sponsored with the library, and we had a comic book artist, Jonathan Todd, who I led the group through the first half, where we really closely examined emotions and the awesome superpowers that emotions have, and also talked about emotional sensitivity, because a lot of the kids that we invited to come, you know, we advertised it that big emotions can be challenging, but reframing them as superpowers. So that was a very cool experience to have them all talking about that and thinking about their feelings differently. Let's see. Shannon was supposed to run 2 workshops over at the senior center, Listen with Love and Say It with Love. Unfortunately, the advertising for Listen with Love happened a little too late, so we weren't able to pull that off. She was able to do Say It with Love, and there was it was very well received, to the point where the participants asked for her to come back and reschedule the other workshop. They're also hoping to offer QPR at the senior center too. Speaking of QPR, we have QPR happening. I'm sorry, I'm realizing some of the dates on here are not correct. 5/24 is when, this is in the director's report that I'm looking at. QPR is happening on 5/24, not 5/17. Sorry about that. Mindful art needs to be rescheduled. We unfortunately did not have enough enrollment for this workshop. This workshop was being grant funded by the Southborough Cultural Arts Council. And because it's grant funded, I reached out to the Cultural Arts Council and they said, we do not want the money back. Please reschedule the workshop. So we're gonna make another concerted effort to see what can we do, you know, to reach a captive audience, to get this workshop to happen. I really hope it does, because it's Kim Welch, who's the art therapist that we've hired, so to speak, for this workshop, is fantastic. So we're hoping to do that. We're meeting with her tomorrow, actually, to brainstorm some other options. Shannon will be attending story time with Miss Kim at the library for the young kids. And what happens there is that she joins them. She lets parents know about our services. She reads with Miss Kim a book about feelings. And then they do a craft that has something to do with mental health at a young child's age level. So that's great. And then lastly, we have Celebrate Wellness, which is coming along great. We're collecting artwork for that. We've got our musicians lined up. You know, as those of you who are at the last board meeting know, that you chose Kim Tolander posthumously to be the recipient of the Laurie Sugarman Whittier Wellness Award. I've been in touch with her family. They've been very touched by this honor. The family will be coming, friends, all the folks who nominated her are planning to attend. And in speaking with friends of the Southborough Youth Commission, who typically funds a gift of some kind for the recipient, they wanted to know what the friends, the family and close friends of Kim would like. And everybody agreed that doing a tree, a memorial tree with a plaque in the new park that's set to be developed on Main Street is what we're hoping to do to honor Kim's memory. So that's great. And I think that's it in terms of an update for, the only other thing I'd say, we didn't really advertise this, but was something that we were approached by the school. So the schools had a professional development day on the 9th, and many of the school staff had to attend a mandatory training based on new curriculum that they were adopting. But the specialists, so the art teachers, the music teachers, gym teachers, they are not required to attend that. So they asked if we would offer QPR to those staff as part of their professional development day. So we did that on the 9th, and I think we had at least 20 folks in attendance. So we did QPR for 20 staff, which was really great. Shannon did a fantastic job. I attended just to offer some extra support as it was a larger group. So it was very, again, very well received, and a lot of participation and engaging conversation happened, which was great. Okay, so now I think I've said everything I had to say about Mental Health Awareness Month.
Great. Does anyone have any comments, questions on May?
I was just curious, Sarah, did you know how many people came to the Say It With Love or the Listen With Love? I forget which one. Listen With Love at the Senior Center?
I believe she had, I'm maybe misremembering. I can't remember if it was 7 or 9 people.
Oh, that's pretty good.
This
Okay.
is actually quite funny. So Say It With Love, if you guys aren't familiar or don't remember, is the half of the training where, so Listen With Love is trying to listen and help your loved ones continue talking and help them get their needs met. A lot of times we say to ourselves, well, what about me? I have needs too. And how do I get my needs met in a relationship? So that's what Say It With Love is about, how to use I statements and ask for what you need in a way that you display confidence, but you're also not, being too aggressive, so to speak. And we had a married couple in Say It With Love, and it was perfect because they had a disagreement over a piece of furniture. So Shannon invited them up, and they practiced some of the skills right then and there, and everybody, the couple included, really got a lot out of the workshop. It was pretty neat. That was a first for us. So anyway, they're very excited to. So I want to say it was 9 people, but it might be 7. I remembered it was one of those 2 numbers.
I had several seniors come up to me while I was at the Shop with a Purpose event at the outreach table, and they were thrilled that they had the opportunity to attend that. And
Oh, good.
want more types of that kind of program geared towards
That's great.
seniors. And a lot of them want to volunteer, not necessarily, you know, I think doing friends might be overwhelming, but helping with outreach or
Mhm,
communication
mhm.
or something like that would be great.
Mhm.
They love the organization. They see that there's a real need in their community, and they want to figure out how to get more people on board and accessing the services. So just an
Mhm.
FYI.
That's great. Yeah, I had a woman call me before the weekend asking how she could get involved, and you know, I commented on friends being one option. We used to have more volunteer opportunities when we ran Project Friend. That has We just haven't been able to bring that program back because it's such a big undertaking and really draining of our resources and impacting the mental health of staff. This is such a complex program. Anyway, but I did talk about that, you know, we have so many outreach opportunities, and we're very grateful for the same folks coming forward over and over again to help us with that. It would be wonderful. And you know, I feel some not reluctance is not the word, I guess guilt about not being able to make every single one of these outreach opportunities, but we can't. And so I talked with her about, you know, having a group of ambassadors, so to speak. So maybe they're not necessarily a part of Friends, but that they're a crew of people who are just like the training that we all did together, where, you know, I kind of went through what we do and tried to help equip people with how to answer questions at the most basic of levels. You know, just to agree with you, Sarah, I think there's opportunity there.
Yeah, I just learned at another meeting in town that soon 60% of our population is going to be considered seniors. And I think if we want, we're going to have to really think about, you know, in the future, 5 to 10 years, how our department's going to be able to meet their needs, because obviously there's mental health issues in that population. So
Definitely.
put it on your to-do list.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, we'll move on to Youth Commission membership. And the first is, we're going to review the job descriptions. We'll also do nominations tonight, and we'll talk about reappointments. So I think I can share screen. If I have the right thing up. Yep. Do you all see that? Can we get a little bit bigger?
Yes.
Okay. There are some edits that I had to it. Does anyone else have any edits to the chair before I start? So we'd probably have a revision date at the top of, following the effective date. And I have all this written down, so I can make the changes later, but I would spell out the Youth and Family Services the first time it's used. I would add that not only do they host and conduct the meetings, but also facilitates the remote meetings. Under approves any remote participation outside of COVID, I would probably at this point cross out outside of COVID, but just say that approve any remote participation for any member of the Youth Commission in an in-person meeting. And then lastly, I don't know if this is depends on the liaison or not, but we were having meetings with the liaison for the select board liaison for the Youth and Family Services and Southborough Youth Commission. So there's participation in a monthly meeting of that. That may not be routine for all liaisons. I don't know. how that will work, but Sarah, I don't know, Sarah, do you have any knowledge
No,
of that?
I certainly hope that we have new, as I'm sure most people know, we have new membership on the select board. And they all sort of operate differently. I do hope that they continue with the liaison program, where one of the select board members is a liaison to each department and has an ongoing relationship. I do know that even with the last membership of the select board, not everybody did things the same way. So I think we can advocate for what we'd like, which I think having at least once a month contact with a member of the select board would be helpful. So I would advocate for that, but not completely our say.
Sure. Under vice chair, there's just a typo with fills in for chair's responsibility.
Lauren, do you mind just scrolling
yes.
up?
Oh, yes, of course.
Or down?
Oh, sorry. Okay, now my computer is up.
Oh.
Secretary, does anyone have any comments on vice chair? Secretary.
Sorry. Did
Go
you
ahead.
say that did you say there was a typo because it says Phil's Ain? So-
Yes.
Okay.
It's a typo.
Okay.
His name.
Phil Zane.
Bill Zane. Secretary. I did not have any edits.
Sarah, do you have any as the person who's doing it?
No, I read it over and I think it's pretty complete. One thing that I find a little challenging sometimes is finding the packet. I need to organize it better when I actually receive the packet, but it needs to go as an attachment to the approved minutes. So maybe I can liaison with Christina to figure out how to facilitate that, because I'm always like, where was that again? But no, otherwise I think that's pretty complete.
Sometimes the packets get updated too before the meeting.
Yeah, I'm like, is this the right one? I don't know if this is the right one.
Let's see, we have all youth commission members. And I was looking at the wording on this to make sure that outreach was included, and there is an attend occasional board committee and outreach meetings. So I think that covers that. It's the only thing that's a little bit that we've been doing more and more of.
State ethics test, is that test or training? I mean, I don't know. It's just a verbiage, but
I think it's an online training.
yeah, I it's weird to call it a test. I just was
Yeah.
curious.
It
Do you-
does have.
Do you have a
test in it.
test at the end?
Oh, yeah.
I think there is a test, but if you get the answer wrong, it's like, nope, here's the right answer.
There's a test throughout, and you're like, I don't know. If my uncle owned a paint shop.
So I changed that test to training on my hard copy here. The director, I don't think much has changed on that since we last looked at it. Sarah, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, in the parentheses, it talks about what's included in the director's report. I think that, so the third bullet down writes the director's report to include with youth commission packet. So it includes previous month's activities, a preview of the next month's monthly finance. I mean, I don't know if you want it to be so specific that, or it could say contains things such as, the only reason I say that is because we're getting new software, which will have different reporting capabilities, and you all might decide over time that there's different data points that you'd like to see, or, so, I mean, the other thing that's not included in there is a strategic plan progress report, which is also part of the director's report. So that's my only thoughts.
Okay. And then the Southborough Youth and Family Services Administrative Assistant, that is Christina. And I didn't see anything on that. Oh, the only question I had was, because I think sometimes she BCCs, but is the Friends president also CC'd on our, it says here.
I think that's a separate email.
I know Leslie and Christina do correspond sometimes. I think Christina asks Leslie, who's the president of the Friends, if she has any agenda items, and then she replies, here's the agenda items. So there is communication between the two of them about agenda items before meetings and stuff, but.
So that's definitely this one.
Oh,
But
sorry.
I'm not sure if she sees, she may, I can't tell if she CCs still on the packets that go out.
I could take a quick look to see.
If
Oh,
she
yeah, we could just-
BCCs, we can't tell though. I don't think it's a big deal. I just noticed it and I didn't
Mhm.
remember seeing that.
Yeah. Is it easier to make it less specific that just says communicates to or something like that versus I lost my screen here. I'm not sure where the language went, but too many screens open. Oh, here it is. So yeah, I have a feeling that she communicates to the Friends group in separate email threads versus including them on
Okay.
any of that.
I think we can just leave that there then.
Okay.
Any comments about any of that as far as does that represent our duties and responsibilities for an updated version? And we probably should have a vote on this if or a motion.
I move to approve the updated description of duties and responsibility for the Southborough Youth Commission. And dated 6/14/2022.
That was last year's, right?
Oh, so the new one will be 6/16/2023.
5/16 or no, how does that work?
No, 5/16. I don't know. Should we just say the updated version or?
I thought we could have one revised date on it. That it could be revised every year. And the effective date would be the original effective date.
That makes sense.
All right.
I
Is there
second,
any change to?
I second the
is it- I
motion.
sec-
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna second it.
So we'll do a roll call vote. Karen Ingram,
Aye.
David Joyner,
Aye.
Sarah Micus,
I
Susan Byer,
Aye.
Lauren Ritchie, aye. And then there's nominations that we started something different last year, which is going over the office positions and in the same meeting that we have nominations, and then followed by at the June meeting, we would have the election for offices. So I'll just open it up for any of the nominations for, we have chair, vice chair, and secretary. And this also
the-
goes with a little bit of reappointments. I know Sarah Micus is up for reappointment, but if she'd like to stay on, I'd like to nominate her for secretary.
I'm planning on staying on, so that would, I would be honored.
Does that need a second?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, if it
That's her
does,
I would
second
say,
it.
I would say, since this is not the official election, that you can collect as many nominations as for the same person as you
That-
want, and just
that's
make
it.
note of that. And
Yeah.
then you could, when you vote, you could say Sarah had 2 people nominate her or 4 people, and
Mhm.
however.
Okay, well, I'd like to nominate you, Laura, to be the chair again, if you so desire, because you do a wonderful job at it.
Yes.
I
Yes.
second that.
Yeah. Third.
I would accept the nomination.
Okay.
I think I'm starting to figure it out.
Why ruin perfection?
Right,
If it ain't fixed, don't, or broke, don't fix it.
exactly.
I just wanted to let everybody know, I was emailing or texting with Leslie, the president of Friends. She only gets an email from Christina asking about the agenda items. She doesn't get the packet or anything, or the director's report, like any of the stuff prior to our meeting. She just gets the email from Christina asking her if there's anything that they want to discuss at the meeting. So I just wanted to make that clarification. So she doesn't see the director's report or the youth commission board meeting packet.
Okay, thank
This
you.
this is kind of a sidetrack, but I wonder if she would like to see that. Part of me thinks it might be too much information. At the same time, I love the idea of the Friends group being apprised of what it is that we're doing, because you guys are all working so hard to support the department.
Right.
So-
And selfishly, like, as I'm kind of like a liaison between the two, sometimes she's asking me and then I'm, like I'm the middleman, and it's totally fine. But I think Leslie definitely has an interest in it. So I think that would be good to keep her apprised of it. And then she can filter the information as, she sees fit too. So.
Yeah. Well, I can make a note. It sounds like that might have just been an oversight that we intended to be
Yep.
sending it to her. So I'll ask Christina if she can plan on doing that moving forward.
All right, good.
If Karen's interested in vice chair, I nominate her.
Sure, I will accept that nomination.
I'll second that.
I third that.
All right. So those are the offices that there will, we only have, I think, one person nominated for each one, unless anyone would like to raise any additional nominations. In that case, we'll have the election next in June meeting. That brings us to reappointments. Sarah Micus and I are up for 3-year reappointments this year, and we've informed we have informed the town that we would like to continue. Of course, it's up to the select board whether they reappoint or not, but we would like to.
Do we need to do anything else, Lauren, until that happens?
I received an email. Did you receive an email?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I'll maybe tell you who to email
Okay,
offline.
all
Or
right.
I can have Christina do it. Which brings us to open meeting law. Any other, yeah, you probably don't have anything else on reappointments, but the open meeting law, I just wanted to bring up because we got an email. I think it went to everybody. It looked like it was out to all board and committee members, but I may be wrong about that. But there was a webinar, a live webinar that's now available as a recorded webinar that was done on April 25th. And I know Sarah and I attended it. I'm not sure if anyone else was able to do it, but I've done the open meeting law webinar before for the town, or the generic, you know, PowerPoint kind of thing. And this was, I think, a little bit more eye-opening, or a little bit more, I hope we steer clear of any of these. And I'm not going to try to recreate it. So what I am going to do is ask everyone to watch it if you can. Christina will send out a link to it. And I think the kind of the take-home message from me was, we talk about not deliberating, but the things that we maybe wouldn't think of, I think we've been good, but we don't want, we want to avoid giving any opinion at all, even to the point of great scholarship applications this year. So really anything that doesn't fall into the scheduling category, yes, I'm available for that date, which everyone can see. Really everything should be just CC'd to Christina to avoid it, is the sort of take-home message that I got. And there were also some notes on social media, but I think it's better if you just do the webinar to hear. But things I had never considered about on social media, that you would want to avoid posting if there was a quorum of people on social media, for instance, that were from your committee. So I would ask that you all do that if possible, and by the next month, just so we can all be up to date on that. And as I said, Christina will send that information out. Any question on that? Comments?
How much time should we commit to that?
I want to say it was less than an hour.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And it was pretty interesting as far as these go. So
I hate to say that in some cases it leaves you asking more questions. I mean, there just never seems to be enough time for all these different possible scenarios. Every participant on that training has their own specific, like, well, what if this or what if that kind of question, and it may raise some of that for you, as I know it did for us. But we have access to our town's legal counsel to follow up on specific questions should they come up. So write them down if that happens for you.
all right, can we have a friends update from Karen? I know they've been very busy.
You sure can. Okay. There was a line item about the SEDP donation, and I don't have any specifics. So
I can speak to that.
Okay.
So I was in attendance at that meeting. So you may be familiar with Southborough Extended Day program was previously a nonprofit organization, which has now been the organization as a nonprofit is being dissolved. It's still maintaining its name. So it gets a little confusing because it's still in existence, but it's now part of the school department. So the nonprofit organization had quite a few funds still available. And as part of their, I'm not going to get this word right, but dissolvement, they have to identify they had to make charitable contributions for those funds. Friends of the Southborough Youth Commission was one of the groups identified as a place they might make a donation of these funds because of the fact that Friends has, funds this camp scholarship program, and they would really like to still continue to support families who may be financially in need to attend their camp program. So we had a meeting with them, and Kathy Cook as the treasurer of Friends, Leslie as the president, and Sue Butka as, I'm not sure if she's secretary or vice chair. Forgive me for not remembering that, but they were in attendance along with Christina and I. So they identified that as one thing that they would love to see some of their funds go towards, is supporting camp scholarships to the new Southborough Extended Day program under the school department. But again, for families who may be income eligible for a scholarship program. We also talked about a number of other passions that are near and dear to their heart. Specifically, they were talking about programming and support services for LGBTQ plus youth. And so we talked about that being a prospect. So basically the ball is in their court at this point, meaning the folks of SEDP, the nonprofit organization. They're making the final decisions. They have to get all this money out the door by the end of FY23. So they're making their final decisions about who they intend to make those donations to and how they would like to earmark that money.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's recap the Shop with a Purpose event. That was this past Saturday at the community house from 11 to 4. I think it was very well received. It's a beautiful day. So luckily we were able to have some vendors outside too. We had 18 vendors, which is even more than last year. I'll run through some numbers and then I don't know if Leslie will email them to all. So you guys have them, unless you want to put them in the minutes, Sarah, right now. But the silent auction raised $2,485. We had $1,300 raised from our vendor fees. So anyone that participated and had a booth or a table had to pay the $65 vendor fee. So that was $1,300. Our raffle made $370. Selling syrup made $360. And then we just had a random $14 in donations from people just dropping it off. And so that was a grand total of $4,529. And I could give you the breakdowns from last year, but last year, all those same totals was only 3,072. So we're really happy with a big jump. It's almost $1,500 more. I think it was great to see more vendors. We even almost had to turn people away at the end because we were running out of space. So it was great to see. We were a little disappointed about the number of people that came through, but I don't know if it was a combination of being a beautiful day and sports and other stuff going on, but still, it was a successful event, I believe. We only had expenses of $200 for the community house to rent it. And we bought signs for, I don't know if you guys saw out, there was A-frames, there was little black A-frames. So we have those signs out by the street, and then they weren't as big as like the sandwich boards, but we had $100 just to purchase some signs to stick in those as well with balloons on them. So people didn't, because we were afraid that people might drive by the community house and say, oh, is that a private event or whatever. So we wanted to make sure people knew that it was open to the public. And Celebrate Wellness, we did order an additional 100 luminaries and lights, and we got the 50 from the Board of Health. We distributed them to neighbors, so all the friends took them to give them to neighbors. We handed them out at a book club that a lot of residents are in, and I handed them out at a blood drive that I put on this month as well, and everyone was really excited. The only snafu is that some of the lights were white and some were green. So I was getting texts, "Wow, my light is white, not green." I was like, it's still lighting. It's okay. Maybe next year we could figure that out, but.
You know
and-
what was so funny is that it says it's a green tea light when you order them, and it is in fact, it's a green plastic,
Right.
but the light part itself is not glowing.
Green.
So when you
But some-
order it, you think it's a green light, but
But
and
some of
it
them
is.
were, some, the ones
Yeah.
that you handed out to us
yeah,
were green,
yeah,
and glowing green, but then the
Mhm.
ones we ordered, so anyway, next year we'll get it right. But everyone was really excited and
Mhm.
eager to participate, and so for Celebrate Wellness 531, we're organizing some food. Sue Butka's leading that up. I guess I wanted to get your guys' opinion on how much food, Sarah, because we will have the food trucks across the
yeah.
in the field.
It keeps changing. So
Okay.
we had heard from Rotary that their food truck festival was on the fritz, so to speak, because there was an issue with insurance or something like that. So there was a period of time that the food truck festival was off, or that it was going to be relocated to another destination. And so then I responded accordingly to friends and said, we're going to be the only,
We need
we're not
food,
going to
we need
have,
food.
yeah, we need more food. And then I had since heard that the food truck festival is back on, and we certainly don't want to be taking business away from Rotary, who's been a supporter of
Right.
the department in the past. So I think at this point, although we are laughing about the prospect of someone coming through the art gallery holding a hot dog, it'll be really classy. So
But fine, that would be
yeah,
great.
totally fine, totally
I think we
fine.
might keep it to desserts too, because
Okay,
if the
yep.
main thing seems to be like, we could do little finger foods like fruit and
Yep.
desserts. And then
Yeah.
if the main food like chicken, hot dog,
Mhm.
whatever, people can go to the food trucks and purchase that, because that's going to be their,
Yep.
both of the purchases. But if we just have a little finger foods and
Yep.
maybe some waters or whatever,
Okay.
anyway, so we'll keep it on the lighter side.
Yeah, yep, that
Okay.
sounds wise.
Okay.
Some finger foods, appetizers, something like that is perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a question. Karen and Sarah were both there at the swap, Shop with a Purpose. Sarah had asked me, how many people we thought we maybe reached through outreach there.
Mhm.
And I didn't really know how many people came through, even to guess, because there was so much activity, but 100?
Yeah, I was only there from 2 to 5, or it was closed
Yeah.
at 4, so I can't tell you the morning.
Nancy and I were pretty busy, honestly, from 11 to 1. I think anybody who came through the door, we caught to at least hand out some mental health awareness swag. And people were very receptive of that. We had several people ask us some in-depth question to seniors. We had a high school student that took a lot of information. We had a couple parents come by. So I really felt like it was a great opportunity. There might not have been a whole lot of foot traffic, but the people that we did engage seem sincerely interested in what the organization had to offer, and several of them had never heard of us. So I think we probably talked to at least, I would say, 20 people and handed stuff out to a few more than that. So I thought it was much more the interest level was a lot more higher than the year before. So I think we're doing a good job. People, at least recognize the name. Everybody had, with elementary school kids in Southborough had received the luminary bags, knew about Mental Health Awareness Month and our Celebrate Wellness event coming up. So I really feel like we're kind of moving the dial in the right direction.
Great. I had a question. I thought you guys might have had like a little display, because I really think that fun spinny wheel at Heritage Day was such a drawing, like a eye catcher. So I didn't know if there was a reason that we didn't, or you didn't have that there this year, or do you?
Well,
usually have it?
whenever we have the fun, the wheel of fun, as we call it, typically we have to purchase something to give out. I mean, alternatively, it could just be, if you land on this color, you have to answer this type of a question, or if you land on that color, you have to answer. But I think part of the draw is usually some sort of giveaway. And unfortunately, with our budget being what it is, we don't have a ton of funds to purchase giveaways. So we try to sort of be selective with when we bring out the Wheel of Fun, because, like Heritage Day, we're competing with a lot of people who are giving tons of things. Like my kids grabbed all sorts of Frisbees and water bottles. One of them tried to resell all of those to other people for a cost.
I like that. Yeah, I think the wheel, I think the Wheel of Fun's appropriate for, especially if there's teenager age kids, maybe even younger kids. I found that most of the people who walked through the swap event were mostly adults, and I don't know if they would want to spin the wheel, but they were very grateful, honestly, to get the green bracelet. It was very popular.
Yeah.
I think if we wanted to hand out, keep up, like, I like this. And I think that and kids wear them. And I think if we come up one for just, our organization and for our town, it would be great to start handing them out.
Yeah, I agree. And also I was thinking, if we do want to do a Wheel of Fun, if there's more more younger kids next year, we could talk to friends, because we could also solicit some small little donations or little giveaways, because we could do the bracelets and the pins, and then maybe some other, I think the friends would be happy to help supplement some little things. And it's just something really fun and eye catchy. It might
Absolutely
get more engagement, and as they're sitting there, you can talk with them too, just instead of passing by. So it was just a thought that I had, that maybe it's a way to engage more people. So the friends are happy to, work with you guys. I know the budget's hard.
The competition is steep. We have we're doing outreach at something called, it's an early childhood education fair that's happening at Finn on June 3rd. Shannon did it last year, and like a lot of the other people who had a table there brought their own jungle gym for kids to climb on, and had I was like, we have some smiley face stickers we could give out. So it's like, it's really hard to compete with some of these other folks, but yeah, so that was the impetus for getting the Wheel of Fun, because we recognize that at some places, especially Heritage Day, for example, people are not inclined to come up to our table otherwise,
Right.
unless we have something interactive for them to do. And even, there's been a few occasions where it doesn't even matter if we have something to give away, as long as there's something to engage with, like spinning a wheel or some sort of game. We've talked about doing temporary tattoos or something that's really very affordable for us, but
yeah, it doesn't have to be costly. So
yeah.
And I wanted to second Sarah, talk about the bracelets, because my son was so bummed. My daughter came home because she's in Trotter and had a bracelet, and he stole it from her because he's at Algonquin, and he was like, I didn't get a bracelet. So I got one from him today, and he came home from work and literally had it on the table. He's like, is this for me? And he was like, so psyched. He put the green bracelet on right away. Everyone at Algonquin wants them too. So
yeah,
even if we don't do like the luminary, it's hard, because I know you said Northborough and Southborough, but I think that would be a huge draw to hand them out at the high school.
I in total agreement.
Yeah.
Maybe we should offer them for completing a QPR course or something.
Yeah.
Or the open meeting law.
Right. All right, any other comments? All right, do you have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the May 16th meeting at 8:04.
It's a record.
Yeah.
Roll call vote, Karen Ingram,
I.
David Joyner,
Aye.
Sarah Micas,
I
Susan Byer. I think I saw a yes.
Sorry.
And Lauren Ritchie, aye. All
Okay.
right.
Can I ask a question now that we're not in the meeting?
Is it deliberating on?
No, I was just gonna ask about Marguerite.
Oh, okay.
I can give you an update, I guess.
Well, is it something that should just come from Marguerite herself?
Well, no, I was just wondering how she did.
She won.
Oh, okay. That was my question. I just wasn't sure if I could ask that. I'm sorry.
No,
You
she
were asking
won.
during the meeting, but okay.
She's one of our new select board members. Yep.
Oh, wow. Good for her.
Mhm.
It was
Yep.
very exciting.
Do you think she'll be leaving us then?
No, she's not leaving.
We haven't heard that, so.
Oh, okay.
I worked on her campaign. Woo, go Marguerite.
I
Right.
just wanted to ask, and I didn't know, the etiquette of these political.
Gotcha.
Anyway, good for her. Glad to
All
hear
right, everyone. We'll see you next June for the big election.
Election, right.
Woo, I'll get my pins out.
All right.
Take
Bye,
care,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
that. Bye.